Is the Ibanez Original Edge Tremolo the best floating trem on the market? I mean, there's no way it's better than an original Floyd, right? In this video, we're gonna deep dive into the Ibanez flagship tremolo and see just how good it really is. All right, this is the Axe, let's go! All right, welcome back to the Axe Guitar Channel, your one-stop shop for tremolo tips and tricks. Today we're talking about the Ibanez Original Edge Tremolo, the Ibanez flagship bridge, which some say is the best tremolo on the market. I mean, there's got to be a reason that Steve Vai and Joe Satriani have played one for this long. All right, so I'm gonna actually do a demo of an Ibanez Edge bridge, but before that, let's take a look at the history of the Original Edge Tremolo and get into the actual specs of this bad boy. All right, first things first, the Edge is a double locking floating trem design that's actually manufactured by Gotoh for Ibanez. Yes, you heard me right. Ibanez does not actually manufacture these trems. They're built by Gotoh for Ibanez. The very original Ibanez Edge Tremolo was first introduced in 1986 on the Proline and Artist series, but those were offered in like non-recessed versions. Now in 1987, the Edge was most notably installed on, at the time, the brand new Gem and original RG550 models, and that was a recessed trem that we've all come to love today. The Edge Tremolo was actually discontinued in 2003 due to some patent disputes between Floyd Rose, and I'm not really sure of the specifics of it, but it came back in 2010 and can now be found on the Ibanez Genesis RG550 and other models. All right, now let's get into the specs of this trem, which are super interesting. Now, make no mistake, the Ibanez Edge is not a proprietary design at all. I mean, it's based off the original Floyd Rose patent in which Gotoh and Ibanez licensed for use. The Ibanez Edge bridge is actually one of those interesting licensed tremolo cases where you're actually gonna get a trem that's worth a damn. If you're interested in the world of licensed trems and all the intricacies of that, I did a whole video explaining all of them. I'll put a card up here and a link in the description, and what we go over is which trems are actually good and which licensed trems are actually worth your money. So go check it out. Okay, like we said, the Ibanez Edge is a double locking design trem, meaning that the strings are retained down at the bridge and then they're also held down at the nut, which usually is an Ibanez Lock 3 version nut. So what is the Ibanez Original Edge Tremolo made out of? So after scouring the internet and unsuccessfully calling Ibanez, I found that the actual trem is made out of pot metal using lost wax casting. The materials and metal used on the body of this trem is a lot like an upgraded version of the Hot Wheels cars you had as a kid. They used that metal product, cast it into the shape that you want at low heats. Typically you want hardened steel on the base plate of your tremolo. I mean, if you can get the whole tremolo made with hardened steel or even titanium, you're set. But with this one being, using pot metal, you're kind of like, what's going on? But Ibanez has actually upgraded this trem in crucial areas that actually make it better than an original Floyd Rose with a hardened steel base plate. Check it out. Number one, the Ibanez Edge actually has replaceable hardened steel knife edges that sit on the studs. So you might not have a hardened steel base plate on this trem, but what comes in contact with the studs is hardened steel in those replaceable knife edges, which are extremely sharp and precise. Number two, Gotoh designed less bulky and sharp saddles, so this trem actually feels a lot better in your hands. Now, number three, which is my favorite, this trem actually comes in with a pop-in tremolo arm. Yeah, so you heard me right, no union nut used on this tremolo arm, which is a nice touch. And it actually uses nylon bushings around the tremolo arm itself to keep it in place when you're playing. All right, number four, and this is a big one, the Edge actually has adjustable studs that allow you to adjust the height of the trem, but then those studs themselves actually lock. Gotoh actually added this feature in 1987, utilizing small grub screws inside of the actual stud itself. So if you were to theoretically look right into the center of that stud, you'd find a little hex fitting that's really at the bottom of the stud. And once you found your proper height of the trem that you like, you'd stick a very small hex key down there, tighten it, and it would stay put and you wouldn't have any movement. And the last improvement, number five, Gotoh actually adds a spring retainer on the tremolo block so your springs do not come out of the block. So with all five of those key improvements over the Floyd Rose style bridge, is the Ibanez Original Edge actually better? Let's do a quick demo of the Original Edge bridge that's installed in my Ibanez Genesis 550. But as always, guys, if you like the content, consider subscribing below so you don't miss any videos like this. All right, let's go. All right, before we actually play this thing, let's just go over what it really looks like. So this is the actual tremolo arm, and you can see those nylon bushings that I was talking about. There's 2 of them. And you can actually replace these. And so if your tremolo arm starts to get a little loose, or you want it to stay in a particular place, you can replace these because they have different ones. And like I said, this bad boy is actually a pop-in design. Pops in pretty easily, locks in place, and you're good to go. Now, another advantage the Ibanez Edge tremolo has over like a Floyd Rose style is the actual fine tuning pegs right here, the fine tuning screws, are angled a little back. And so this bridge actually sits a little bit more flush and flat compared to an original Floyd Rose. And right here we have the studs, which inside have that grub screw that when these are adjusted and the trim's actually adjusted in height, you can then lock these down with the screws in here. And then lastly, you can actually see the blocks on this thing actually have kind of beveled edges around the blocks, and that sits way more comfortably in your hand. Everything just about this bridge is a little bit more soft and smooth. Now, if you look on the side here, you can actually see the replaceable knife edges. I'm really not sure if Gotoh or Ibanez actually makes replaceable knife edges you can throw in here, but it is an option, and those are hardened steel. And then as you use this tremolo, you can tell, even after a couple of years of use, this thing is noiseless and very, very, very smooth when you depress the tremolo arm. All right, so what I want to do now is actually plug this bad boy in and show you the versatility of this.